Hey, Black Belt Reads, back with another video. So it's been a while since I've done sort of a recap what I've read recently. This is pretty much what I've read in August. I'm a little bit late getting this out, but as you guys may know, if you've been here before, I talk about all kinds of different books, right? Classic literature, horror, fantasy, sci-fi, comic books. I like to read everything. One of the things that I've been doing is reading all of Cormac McCarthy's books in publication order. I started this a couple years ago. I don't really remember why. I just kept hearing he's one of the greatest authors of all time. And since then, he has become pretty much my favorite author. I mean, everything I've read for him has just blown me away. I think about it all the time. He just has such a beautiful way of writing. Um, so yeah, I finally read No Country for Old Men. I had seen the movie, but finally read the book and loved it. Man, of course, everyone knows this for the villain, Anton Chigurh. My favorite stuff in this book was just Sheriff Bell. Just his little monologues where he will just talk about life, little lessons, little stories, his relationship with his wife. Just those are my favorite parts in the book. It's just Cormac at his best. So with this, I've read all of McCarthy other than his most recent novels, The Passenger and Stella Maris. So I'll probably do that this winter. Sounds like maybe a good cozy winter read. Got me a little sad, finally have read all of McCarthy other than that. And what comes next. I want to reread his books, of course. But I've got Faulkner, Hemingway, a lot of authors that get recommended when you like McCarthy. But one that I had never read before was recommended. That is Raymond Carver. I'd never read any Raymond Carver. So I did a little research and picked up what we talk about when we talk about love. This was absolutely right up my alley. It was perfect. I can definitely see why it's recommended if you read McCarthy. Very simple writing, very short, clean. He said, she said, they did this, he did that. But the stories, the way they're written is just really, really brilliant. I can't wait to read more Raymond Carver. It has like every story. It's like there's a sense of dread. Not like dread when you read a horror novel, like what's going to be behind this door or what is around the corner. Dread, like every single story, I just felt like something bad was going to happen, and a lot of times it did. Of course, it's about love, love for your spouse, your children, family. It's about alcohol, murder, uh, sweet love, innocent love, toxic love, infidelity. It's there's a lot going on. Lots of these stories end very abruptly, which kind of threw me off at first. The first couple of stories, it took a little bit of adjustment because they end when you want more and you don't expect it to end right there. Once I got through maybe like 25% of the book, I realized that this is brilliant stuff. So can't wait to read more Raymond Carver. So after that, I did Empire of Silence. I did a whole video about Empire of Silence, which I think lost me some subscribers. Maybe it's not like I have very many to begin with, but the reason maybe I didn't like that as much as a lot of other people did is probably because I was coming off of McCarthy and Carver, and the just absolutely beautiful writing. It's just right up my alley. And I love sci-fi, and there was really good writing in the book. It's just the story itself didn't, pull me in as much as I thought it would. So I also did Kazuo Ishiguro. I've been reading a lot of different authors, sort of in order, like Joe Hill, Stephen King, McCarthy. I want to do Murakami. One of them I wanted to do was Kazuo Ishiguro. This is his first novel. I did a whole video about it. Really liked this one a lot. Right up my alley for sure. I also did a whole video about, speaking of Stephen King, about You Like It Darker. I've been reading all of his books in publication order, and then when he'll come out with a new book, I kind of skip forward and read it. That's why I'm, lagging behind. I'm still stuck in his 90s books because I'll skip forward and read. Did a whole video about this. Really, really liked it. I liked You Like It Darker a lot more than I liked Holly. I think pretty much everybody did. I've got a lot of books I read. I read quite a bit. Um, I did Nightfall. So again, I'll go from some crazy Cormac McCarthy novel to a Batman story. It doesn't bother me at all. I like both. I'd always known the Bane breaks Batman thing, but I'd never read it. So finally read it. Really, really enjoyed the Bane sections. The whole origin with Bane. There's the Scarecrow right there. We really need a Scarecrow figure for my shelves back there, huh? The origin with Bane was the best part in this book. It was so well done. Him being a prisoner, learning how to fight, becoming intelligent through reading books. Yeah, so really enjoyed that stuff. I did quite a bit of comic reading. There's like 5 books here at my feet that I haven't finished yet, but I'm, working through them. I'll usually read a few issues of a book and then pick up a different book and just kind of dip my toes into a little bit of everything. But this, House of M, this is one where once I picked it up, I didn't pick up any other book. I just read this all the way through. Not in one day, but I didn't pick up another book when it was time for me to come in here and read. I loved this. I think this has a bit of a reputation for being bad. I really liked the House of M story where Wanda says no more mutants. I really, really liked that story. And then most of the tie-ins as well, I really liked. The Spider-Man tie-in was really good. There was a few in here that weren't very good, but it's not like they were awful. They just, the comic itself, like Iron Man, maybe just wasn't actually that good anyway. So the tie-in's not going to be good, of course. But most of the stuff in here I loved. And it was just such an easy read. After reading some tough things, which I'll get into here in a second, this was a nice, easy read. And I blew through this one. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Highly recommend House of M. So, speaking of tough reads, I did a joke about War and Peace on one of my videos where I was like, here, I read War and Peace. Just kidding. I didn't really because the book's so big, right? It's very intimidating. I had just bought a cheap copy of it, and my wife said, you could probably read that in like a week, right? I'm like, you have a lot of faith in me. Girl, a week? It would probably take me like 3 months to read this thing. I think she thinks I read a lot faster than I actually do. I actually read really slowly. I intentionally try to slow down, especially when I'm reading something like classic literature. So, wanting to read Tolstoy, scared of War and Peace. I do want to read War and Peace really badly, especially after reading The Death of Ivan Ilyich. Yeah, just picked up this short story collection. It's kind of like 4 novellas. So 4 stories. There's the first book in here, Family Happiness. Um, it was good. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't until I got to the title story, The Death of Ivan Ilyich. It just absolutely blew me away, and I realized why Leo Tolstoy is one of the greatest authors of all time. I loved that story so much. The Death of Ivan Ilyich. It's so dark, so depressing. It is about a guy just withering away. He gets in an injury and he's just dying. He's not dying peacefully. He's suffering. He is being tortured by this pain. And this is like the 1800s or something. I think the book was written in the 1800s. It might be an older, you know, time setting. Anyway, nowadays we would just go to the doctor, I guess, and, probably find a solution, but they could not find a solution for him. So he's just suffering, just dying. And it's written so beautifully, so dark. I mean, it actually made me cry. Like, not just like, my eyes watered up. It made tears fall down my face while I'm sitting here reading this at work, trying to keep it together. It was one of my favorite things I've ever read. It really was. And it made me really excited to read more Tolstoy. Family Happiness was really good as well. I can appreciate the brilliant way that he's writing about relationships. It's about a girl who, gets married to a man, and they love each other so much, and their love is written beautifully. But then as time passes, that love starts to fade. The infatuatious period is over. And then what is left after that? A lot of resentment and anger, and it's written very well. Um, it wasn't until I got to the second story where I was blown away, absolutely blown away. There were parts of the death of Ivan Ilyich that I wanted to just read out loud and just scream it out loud. It was just so heartbreaking. I wanted to immediately flip back and read it again, but I didn't. I'm almost done with the third story in the book. It's called the Kutsur Sonata, something like that. And then there's the fourth story, which I'll get to soon. Whenever I read, let's see, I think I'm pretty much done here. I have a lot of books around me that I've kind of dipped into. If you if you go on my Goodreads, my currently reading page, it's like 30 books. I know that's ridiculous. A lot of them are comics where I'm sort of reading runs, and I'll just pick them up and read them. But I did read 1984 by George Orwell. I read Superman for All Seasons, which also made me cry. I read a lot of stuff, but yeah, just wanted to keep the video sort of short here. Um, if you're interested in any of these books, let me know. And if you like my videos, please subscribe, comment, let me know. Appreciate it. See you guys.